The jungle canopy filtered the twin suns of Krathos Prime into fractured emerald light as Liam stumbled through the undergrowth. His navigation beacon crushed 3 kilometers back when his escape pod had kissed the planet's surface with all the grace of a drunk meteorite. The distress signal from the colony ship Prometheus had gone silent 2 days ago, and now he was alone on an uncharted world, weaponless and thoroughly lost. He pushed aside a curtain of bioluminescent vines and froze. Before him stretched a village that seemed carved from the living forest itself. Structures of woven bark and crystalline stone rose in organic spirals, pulsing with an inner light. Warriors stood at attention throughout the settlement, their chitinous armor gleaming like obsidian, triple-jointed limbs gripping weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. The Velcor, the galaxy's most feared warrior race. Liam had read the reports. Humanity's first contact with the Velcor had ended in disaster when a diplomatic envoy mistakenly entered their sacred hunting grounds. 17 humans dead in under a minute. The Velcor valued strength above all else, and trespassers were considered prey. A dozen spear tips aligned with his chest before he could retreat. The air itself seemed to compress as the Velcor warriors locked onto him, their 4 eyes narrowing with predatory focus. Their chieftain stepped forward, a massive specimen whose scarred carapace told stories of 100 battles. He clicked something in their guttural language, a sound like stones grinding underwater. The spears flew. 12 projectiles, each capable of punching through reinforced hull plating, streaked toward Liam's center mass. Time seemed to fracture as his combat augmentations, standard issue for colony scouts, kicked into overdrive. His pupils dilated, his neural pathways firing at twice normal capacity as the world around him slowed to a crawl. Liam twisted, his body moving with the fluid grace that marked humanity's greatest advantage: adaptability. The first spear hissed past his ear. He dropped into a roll as 3 more converged on where his torso had been. Coming up in a crouch, he swayed like a reed in a storm, letting physics and momentum guide his movements rather than rigid technique. The Velcor warriors stood in stunned silence as every spear embedded itself in the trees behind him. Liam straightened, brushing dirt from his torn colony uniform. His heart hammered against his ribs, but he forced his breathing to steady. In his peripheral vision, he noticed movement at the village edge. A human woman, her auburn hair matted with grime, her arm bound in makeshift bandages. Melissa, the Prometheus's chief xenobiologist. She was alive. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second, and he saw the warning in her gaze. Don't show weakness. Liam turned back to the assembled warriors and did the only thing that made sense in a culture that respected strength. He smiled. My turn, he said quietly. The chieftain's mandibles clicked in what might have been surprise or amusement. He gestured, and the warriors formed a circle. In the center, he planted his ceremonial staff, an ornate weapon crackling with plasma energy, and stepped back. The challenge was clear. Retrieve the staff, prove his worth, or die trying. Liam walked forward, his augmented eyes analyzing movement patterns, calculating angles. The first warrior lunged from his left, claws extended. Liam pivoted, using the alien's momentum to send him sprawling. 2 more came from opposite sides, a classic pincer. He dropped flat and they collided above him with a satisfying crunch of chitin. But the Velcor were learning. They adapted their strategy, coming at him in waves, never giving him a moment to breathe. A talon raked across his shoulder, drawing blood. Another caught his leg, spinning him around. He was fast, but they were faster, stronger, bred for combat across generations. Liam realized something then. He couldn't beat them at their game. So he changed the rules. Humans didn't evolve as apex predators. They evolved as persistence hunters, as problem solvers, as the species that looked at every obstacle and asked, how can I turn this to my advantage? Liam grabbed the nearest warrior's arm and used it as a lever, redirecting an incoming attack into another opponent. He kicked dust into multifaceted eyes, exploited the half-second of disorientation. When 3 warriors formed a wall between him and the staff, he didn't try to break through. He scaled one of their backs, using their own armor as a ladder. His fingers closed around the plasma staff. The fighting ceased instantly. Liam stood in the center of the circle, breathing hard, blood trickling from a dozen minor wounds. The staff hummed in his grip, responding to his bioelectric signature. Around him, the Velcor warriors lowered their weapons, their antennae twitching in what he was beginning to recognize as respect. The chieftain approached, clicking a complex phrase. Melissa limped forward from the crowd, translating. He says you fight like water, she said, her voice hoarse but steady. Formless, adaptive, impossible to grasp. He asks what manner of warrior your people breed. Liam looked at the assembled aliens, then at Melissa, seeing in her bruised face the same resilience that had carried humanity from cave dwellings to the stars. Tell him, Liam said, handing the staff back to the chieftain with a respectful nod, that humans aren't bred for war. We're bred for survival. And that makes us the most dangerous species in the galaxy, Melissa translated. The chieftain's mandibles spread wide, the Velcor equivalent of a smile. That night, as Liam and Melissa sat by the village fire, she explained how she'd survived by demonstrating her knowledge of medicinal plants, treating injured warriors when their own healers had failed. The Velcor, for all their fearsome reputation, respected competence in any form. They've been waiting for a ship to arrive, Melissa said. They'll give us safe passage to the communication relay tomorrow. Liam nodded, watching the alien warriors move through their evening rituals. Humanity had stumbled into first contact blind and unprepared, but they'd done what humans always did, adapted, learned, survived. In a galaxy of warriors, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't strength. It was the refusal to give up. As the twin moons of Krathos Prime rose over the jungle canopy, Liam allowed himself a genuine smile. They were going home,